This is something which is very important. So here we are going to discuss about different types of letters and the difference between their structure. So as far as IELTS is concerned, you're going to get these different types of letters. You will get formal letters, you will get informal letters, and you will get semi-formal letters. All right. What is the difference? In formal letters, you are supposed to maintain formal tone and structure. So what do you mean by formal tone? Formal tone is where you write, let's say, for example, to your boss or to an authority, and the context is very, very formal, right? Let us take some examples straight away to understand this. So let me go here. These are the formal letters. These are the situations. A job application cover letter. You are applying for a job as well as attaching a CV. You need to write a cover letter explaining your reason for choosing this particular job at this particular company and why you would be a good hire. So basically, it's a kind of cover letter, right? So possible qualifications, or reasons for you to be hired, your energy and enthusiasm, and your past experience. These are the three things you are supposed to write here, right? So this is a formal situation, as you can see, right? When you write a letter, try to be as direct as possible and just elaborate upon the bullet points given to you in the question. So these are the things you are supposed to take care of. Like for example, in this situation, I'm writing to express my interest in. Is this audible to all of you? Yeah, it should be. I'm writing to express my interest in position of lead software engineer that was advertised in the Times newspaper on this date. Now see, since they have asked for 3 bullet points, there are 3 paragraphs here. I passed my bachelor's degree with first class honors in computer science from this university and a master's degree in applied software engineering from this university where I assisted in the development of an article. So, a little complex sentence is given here. Now, the second thing is about energy and enthusiasm. So, directly we are coming to this. Further to this, I have I have since worked for Intel Corporation as there is no need of since. I have worked for Intel Corporation as a software engineer for over 8 years. My main responsibilities centered around the management of teams. So they are talking about the experience of this person as this. I believe it is this well-developed problem-solving ability which makes me a suitable candidate for a leadership position. Finally, I've been participating in various technology workshops. So enthusiasm for the job, technology workshops and seminars since I was a teenager, and so my enthusiasm for the industry is considerable. Please find my it's very, very straightforward. You must have been writing these kind of letters uh, in your professional journey. So this is a formal letter, and let's see how many words there are. This is 176 words. So you're supposed to write 150 plus, right? Not less than 150. 176 is good number. So it could be anything where the situation is very, very formal, as you can see. The school library seeking application for job over summer break. So you are writing again a job application in school library, and again here you are writing dear sir or madam. In fact, or madam is not required. You can simply say dear sir, or madam is also fine, but then you can be direct and say dear sir. So these are formal letters. Formal is when you don't know the person to whom you are writing the letter. The second type of letter is informal, which you write to your friends and family members, right? And here there is a list of informal letters which you can write. The tone is supposed to be very friendly and direct here. You are not supposed to be very formal. informal language, the way you write to your friends. I'm so happy you are coming to visit me next month. So you can always add one or two lines here as we were discussing. Hope this letter finds you in the best of your mood and health. I'm so happy, and then you can start it. So that is very much possible. But the tone, another important thing that you I would like you to focus on is contractions. If you aren't protected, can you see this? So these add a little bit of informality to your writing. If you aren't protected, the mosquito will eat you alive out there. So these kind of expressions are the ones which you will find while conversing with friends. So this is what you are supposed to maintain in informal. Semi-formal is something which is in between. I mean, something which is similar to formal as well as informal. You know the person, but the context is very formal. Like for example, writing to a landlord. You are absent from an important event held by the company you work for. Write a letter to your manager. So to your manager, when you are writing, it is not very formal, and the situation, the context is also not very formal. You are not there in an event. It could be like a company event, which is not very important. So you are apologizing and you are telling what was the case. And here you write the surname of the person directly, dear Mr. Brangen. So in this, you write the surname of the person. When it is an informal letter, you write the first name, dear Ankush, or dear Shamparkita, or dear Jinsan. So you write the first name in case of informal. In semi-formal, you write the surname, and in formal, you write only sir or madam. Right. So this is the structure you follow. And here, S for semi-formal, S for sincerely. So this you can remember. In a semi-formal letter, you end, the ending salutation is sincerely. In formal, it is faithfully. So you will see this written in all these. In formal, it is either yours truly or yours faithfully. Regards is also fine, but yeah, generally we write faithfully. All right. These are some norms which are followed. Again, they are not um, I mean, you're not supposed to follow them verbatim, but this is what I always take care of, and I would advise you also to follow these norms. That when it is a semi formal, use yours sincerely. When it is formal, use yours faithfully. And when it is informal, you can use anything. Love, eager to see you soon. Yeah, look forward to meet you. Right? Warm wishes, whatever you want, you can write those kind of expressions. So I have discussed about two, three things. Number one, the opening salutation and the closing salutation. Number two, the tone. In an informal letter, you can use some contractions. Those contractions give an informal tone. In a formal letter or a semi-formal letter, you are not supposed to use contractions, and your tone is supposed to be very direct, very uh, like when you are very formal, right? So I think that's the major thing. And again, the same thing that you have, that I want you to follow. Simply rewrite these letters with your own hands once, and just follow the same structure. Do not try to show any creativity. Do not try to jump the gun. Do not try to create a very strong impression by your writing. Just fulfill the basic task. Just uh, so your purpose should be to make the examiner feel that all the requirements of the task are completed, that you are not trying to impress him, but just finish the task. The way you work in your office, do you try to impress with your work, or you try to complete your work as per the given standards? In international organizations, most of the time we just try to finish the work as per the given standards, isn't it? So here also you are supposed to be very calculated in your approach. Do not try to uh, jump the gun or go for an overkill or write an a world class letter. There is nothing like class letter. A good letter is one which fulfills the criteria and makes the examiner feel that this person deserves it. I cannot deduct marks. And for this, the best is to follow certain standards which you have practiced through your journey of preparing for IELTS. Does this make sense? So now onwards, start working on the letters as well. Any questions you have about letters, you can ask me. Yes. So please go ahead. You can unmute and you can ask questions and we can get them sorted. Hmm.
So it will be clearly written in the exam that it is formal, informal, or we need to identify.
Yeah, so this is a good question. You have to identify it. But then, even if you, like, for example, let us try to read some topics and let's try to see whether we can make out. Like this one, you should spend about 20 minutes on this task. You have recently started work in a new company. Write a letter to an English speaking friend. The moment the word friend comes, it is an informal letter, right? You are applying for a job. You can see that this is a formal letter. Your children go to a local school that requires volunteers to accompany school science trips. Write a letter to school. Now, the situation is that you are again writing to somebody who is not your friend or family member or anyhow related. Now, in this situation, let us say for whatever reasons, you end up writing it in an informal fashion. It is not an error, right? It is very situational and it is something which is very personal. You might be having very good relations with the school teachers, right? So you might address them, dear Mrs. Sharma, and you may like to write it like that. So this is what it is. It is not, there are no iron walls between semi formal and formal. Yeah. And you are not going to lose marks because it's the way you depict the idea. So if you have considered, I mean, of course, when you are applying for a job, it has to be formal only. So some letters are definitely formal. You have lost some luggage or some bag somewhere and you are writing to an insurance company. The situation is definitely formal and you are supposed to maintain a formal structure, right? You asked for a credit card, you got an envelope in which the credit card was missing, so you are writing to the bank. It's a very formal situation, right? But this kind of letter where you are writing to a school teacher and your kids study there, you can very well mold it as an informal or write it as as a semi formal one also, and you're not going to lose marks. The only thing is that you have to follow the structure of a semi formal in that case. A semi formal letter is not very academic and direct. You can write some expressions which are of a personal nature. I've been visiting your school, and it has been a great experience helping children during voluntary weeks or voluntary weekends or in the voluntary activities, whatever. So those kind of expressions which you usually, which are not very formal. So does that answer your question, Ankush?
Yes.
So there are no iron walls between a formal and a semi-formal letter. You can write based on your own knowledge and you are not going to lose marks. But then the only thing is you should maintain the same structure. I mean, if it is an informal, go for informal tone, informal structure. If it is a semi-formal one, then use the structure which is followed in semi-formal, which means you would write Dear Mrs. Sharma or Dear Miss Sharma and whatever it is.
So let's suppose if we have mistakenly written informal in case of formal, will that detect marks?
No. because there are some letters which can be written in both ways, like for example this topic. So there is nothing like it is a formal or a semi formal letter. But yes, an informal, if you write it like a formal letter, is a like they are two diagonally opposite situations. So an informal and a formal are absolutely different. You cannot write an informal letter in a formal tone or a formal letter in an informal tone. But then a semi formal and formal, there's a very thin line. So informal is the one you are writing to your friend. When the word friend comes into picture, it's a friend. You cannot really mold it or change it into an informal one, right? It has to be formal. But if it is this kind of situation where you are writing to somebody who could be your friend also, you know, official friend, office friend as we say, not official friend, office friend. So that you can mold as semi formal also. Okay, so this is about the letters. Again, here you have got all these samples and the three types. All I want you to do is simply rewrite these letters and keep reading them for 4 5 days. Another 7 days you follow this practice, it will get etched in your mind and you would be able to write it the same way. And I can tell you that this practice will also affect your speaking to a great extent. When you get organized in writing, you automatically get organized in your speaking. Okay. So, what are you going to do for next 2 days?
Watch the